So everyone, I'm going to take a big brave pill today and I'm going to tackle a subject that last time I just even mentioned it in a video, got quite a lot of flack back from it, and that is mobility cars and the mobility scheme. Now the reason that I've decided to discuss this today is I just happened to be on my computer this morning and saw a news article come up. I'm going to keep it on my screen if I keep referring to it back to that screen. Um, I saw a news article coming that came out today that said that they were about to kick thousands out of the mobility scheme for misuse. I imagine this is coming now, as we know that recently the current government, the Labour Party, have decided to crack down on benefits. And I figured sooner or later this might become one of the things they would look at. Now, for those of you who don't know what the mobility scheme is, the mobility scheme, if you're outside the UK or perhaps you just aren't aware of how it works in the UK, the mobility scheme is designed to help those with genuine ailments to get around. So it's a lot of people obviously that have illnesses that mean that they struggle to walk. They might need somebody else to drive them around. And the mobility scheme helps those people by allowing them to purchase a brand new vehicle using their PIP, their personal independent payment. Excuse me if I get into this wrong along the way. If you qualify, so you can get standard PIP, I believe, for having illness, disability. But if you qualify for the high level of PIP, it's another £75 odd that is designed to allow you to have a vehicle. So was around about £300 a month. Now, with that £300 a month, you can go into a dealership, and under the mobility scheme, you can buy a brand new car. And someone will have to correct me if I'm wrong down below, whether the mobility companies set what the offers are, whether the manufacturers do or not. I'm not 100% sure on that. But the cars then come with all inclusive. So your servicing is inclusive, your tax is inclusive, your tyres are. So you have a fully ready to go car that is there's no extra expense on that side of things. I guess you've got to sort your own insurance out, haven't you? Now you have the opportunity, if you wish, you might need, obviously there's cars that fall in that £300 payment that are, you don't have to put any more money on top, but you can, if you wish, put more money on top and get other vehicles. So that's why you'll see a wide range of mobility cars out there. Someone might have a little bit more money and they're able to top it up, or they might need to because presumably they need a bigger vehicle than are offer at the free rate, and they can top it up on top, which is why I see there's a really wide range of vehicles out there. Now, obviously, there's a process for qualifying for that you have to go through, and what they're talking about at the moment is cracking down on that process, and also to make sure it's not abused, because the idea is that I think is it allowed 3 drivers are allowed to be allocated to one car. Again, someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea is that the vehicle is there for the purpose of transporting the disabled, the ill person about, not obviously for other family members to go bombing around all over the place. It's designed specifically to be used for them, and that's one of the things they want to crack down on. Now, there is a company that manages, I'm not sure how many do manages, but I know that there's a big one called Mobility Operations, whose turnover is 7 billion for this part of the business, for dealing with these mobility cars. Now, they came into the spotlight because I think it was 2018 odd, the director of the CEO of that firm took a £2 million bonus on top of his £1.7 million salary. Now, I have to question why you'd be getting a bonus for it all. Surely it's kind of shooting fish in a barrel, isn't it? If people are given an allowance to buy a mobility car and then they go and choose one, what are you getting a bonus for? How are you influencing that process? I don't know. Again, let me know if you know. But I can't see why you'd qualify for any kind of a bonus at all. Anyway, this company's now saying they're going to help crack down on the misuse of the mobility cars. So they were saying that they've found a lot of the vehicles aren't being used by the person that qualifies for the mobility. They're being used by other people. Again, I think there's allowances for other people to use a vehicle to enable them to get around, but it shouldn't be taken off for all their personal use. So I think there was family members taking cars away and using it basically as their daily transport to get their kids around, that kind of thing that they want to crack down on. Now, obviously, like I say, by now in the comments, there's lots of people probably telling me I've got stuff wrong and telling me that I don't know, like that. This happened last time. I think we can all agree that for a company to be able to pay those kind of bonuses out, to a CEO of a company for a system that is designed just to help people get around. I don't know. That doesn't sit right with me at all. I don't see why anyone should really be making money out of that, because it is the taxpayers' money that's being used to pay out these PIP payments. So why should there be a company massively profiting from it? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me at all. One of the things that worried me the most about this was wasn't aware, and most of you out there probably aren't aware of this either, until I looked into it, that mobility cars make up 20% of the new car market. So 1 in 5 of the brand new cars within the UK is being bought on a mobility scheme. Yeah, there's 2.4 million people in the UK currently receiving the mobility allowance. 20% of our new car market is made up of people using that allowance to buy vehicles. Now, again, this isn't about whether these people should qualify for it or not. I'm sure there's a lot of people there that would swap good health. You know, like our subscriber, I bought the wheelchair access vehicle from the other day. That was his own personal vehicle, but I'm sure most of the people on the scheme would rather swap good health out for having an old runaround rather than having a new car. I'm sure they wouldn't swap their health just for the sake of having a nice new shiny car. So I'm not going on about that side of things. I'm not commenting on that side of things. But the users grew by 15% last year alone. 15%. So it's already making up 20% of our new car market. Last year, users of the mobility scheme grew by 15%, and now they're looking to obviously try and rein it in. I was just wondering what kind of an impact that would have on the new car market, because I had no idea how much of it was that. And the other thing that I found slightly depressing about it as well was that you'd like to think that having a new car is an aspirational thing, wouldn't you? That it's all about us all going out there working hard, earning money, and we're able to then buy a nice new car for ourselves to treat ourselves. So I dug a little bit deeper. I thought, well, if 21% of cars are on a mobility scheme, what other new cars aren't actually being registered by private buyers? I thought, well, fleet cars, when you've got a company cars where the company buys a fleet of cars and they're giving out company cars, what percentage does that make up of the market? And I was shocked to find that that is 62% of the new car market. 62% of the new car market is fleet sales. So you add that to mobility sales, and like I said, I think it's 21%. So you've got 83% of cars, 83% of brand new cars being bought aren't being bought by people working hard, working themselves up to be able to buy a new car. They're being bought by the mobility scheme and by companies as company cars. But it's only about 17% of new cars in the UK are individuals working hard and buying themselves a car. And I don't know why, but I just found that slightly depressing. I found that a little bit depressing. That like I say, buying a brand new car is an aspirational thing. To find it's only a tiny percentage of our brand new car sales within the country are normal working people. I found that I just found that a bit depressing. Maybe a lot of you shouting at the screen going, James, wake up. People don't earn the money to be able to buy new cars. Not when house prices and mortgages and rents are so high, and when wages aren't very high. And I guess it is blindingly obvious when you look at it like that, but it still doesn't make it. It still does make it slightly depressing, doesn't it? But the other thing that struck me as well is that with only, like I say, about 17% of sales going to normal private sellers, the government's never really going to be able to muck that much about with the mobility scheme, or too much around with things like the benefit in kind people get for driving company cars. Because you can imagine the impact on the UK car market if the government decided to say, we're going to heavily cut back on the subsidies for mobility cars. We're going to heavily cut back on the extra PIP payments, or what you have to do to qualify. You can imagine the UK car companies would be knocking on the door at number 10, wanting to have a word with them, wouldn't you? Same thing with, like, say, with company cars. You wouldn't want to hit company car. I mean, they have hit them fairly hard, haven't they? They've just changed the pickup truck rules, but they wouldn't want to hit that too hard, because basically your entire new car market is not relying on everyday people buying cars. It's relying on this mobility scheme and on companies buying the vehicles. You could see a really, potentially very large collapse in the UK new car market, and you can see all the car manufacturers lobbying the government very hard to ease back a bit off that. I think that forwards through as well. That means that most of the nearly new cars, or pretty much any car you're buying going forwards, it's far more likely, 8 times out of 10, that the used car you're buying has been a mobility car or a lease car than it is by some private individual. Lots of people like the idea of buying a car, or it's a local car and it's one owner. Well, that's going to be incredibly rare going forwards that was the case. Like I say, if you're buying stuff sort of 3 to 5 or 6 years old, the entire market is being only there because of the mobility scheme and because of leasing. Otherwise, looking at it, they just wouldn't be the cars there anyway, wouldn't they? Because everyday people aren't buying them. I decided to delve even deeper again and thought, right, who is buying? So there's such a small percentage of the UK population that's buying cars. Who is buying new cars? And from the research I did, the average age of a new car buyer in the UK is 55 years old. So to me, that indicates that the only people that are buying a car for themselves privately are probably the people that have kids have left home, they might have paid off their mortgage, and now they're treating themselves to a brand new car. I get political again, but there's a lot of people out there would say that there's only the only reason those people can afford to buy a new car is because they had very good growth in their property over that period. Again, I'm opening myself to a world of hurt in the comments here, but do we think that going forwards, the average 20 or 30-year-old now, when they get to 50, 55, is going to have the disposable income to be buying brand new cars? The way the house market works now, I don't know. Now, I also, again, I'm projecting here, so I don't know for sure, but would think people of that age group probably aren't taking out leases to buy their cars. They're probably buying it outright or with a bit of finance. Which leads me to believe going forward that because I say again, I believe that most people, younger people coming through, aren't going to have the disposable income of that group of people now, that there is going to be a very large hike in leasing cars, where basically you don't really ever own it. It does include a bit like a mobility scheme. Most of them include servicing. You can include tyres as well. And you just put down a small amount of money, you have it for 3 years, and then you just chop it back in and put down a small amount of money again. That's the only way I can see going forwards that the new car market would be able to be sustained in that tiny proportion of people that are the private buyers. Now, I'll probably set the comments alight now with comments to my ignorance of the way the mobility schemes, to my ignorance of the way the new car market works, all of that. Fair enough. Perhaps lots of you knew all this about the new car market anyway, but I didn't, and I guess there's a proportion of you out there didn't either. I, like I say, was shocked to learn that 21% of the new car market alone is just mobility cars. 21%, and then if you add in the 62% of cars that are bought by companies as vehicles for company cars, how tiny a proportion of new car sales in the UK were just private individuals buying a new car for themselves. I also didn't know how the demographic of the people buying them, it was average person was 55 years old. So to me, it just paints a rather sad picture for the new car market, doesn't it, really? Like I say, I've always viewed it as that aspirational thing that you work hard and you go and buy yourself a new car, but to learn that such a tiny proportion of the country are able to do that or are doing that, it just struck me as a little bit sad. Anyway, that's my viewpoint on it. I'm sure I'll be hearing yours down below. As always, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey, it's not new, but it is affordable because you can win this Ford Fiesta ST for just £1. Yep, the latest raffle is out. We're raffling off this 2015 Ford Fiesta ST. It'll be coming out with a brand new MOT for the new owner, or you can choose £4,000 cash. As always, we're supporting a local charity with this. It is Ability FC, which is a football team locally for those children and adults with special needs and learning disabilities. We're helping support them so they can get on trips, get kit, all that kind of good stuff. There is a link for the raffle in the video description down below. It's a guaranteed draw raffle, so regardless how many tickets do or don't sell, there will be a winner. Massive thanks to everyone who's already entered.